Hello everybody, you having a good night? I must admit the hotel have put together a lovely evening this evening and I thought the food was very nice. Russ has been fantastic and thank you very much Gary for heartfelt words there. Can I, on the behalf of myself and the trustees, please thank everybody for coming this evening. It means a lot to us to see so many people here this evening and hopefully we can raise a lot of money for the children of Nepal. Now the DCWC is it's a relatively very small charity. When I say relatively, we have the likes of, well, I don't know, like the NSPCC. I did something a few years ago for the NSPCC. I did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So I did it, I won 32 grand, great, no problem. And then I had this cheque for 32 grand, and the NSPCC turned up and said, "Thank you very much," and they disappeared. And I never saw anything again. Never saw where the money was spent or anything. Whereas with the DCWC, if you spend £100, you actually see the £100 is spent in bricks and mortar, either in a school or in the hospital that Gary was explaining before. And I think that's very important, that this small charity is as transparent as that. So I just thought I'd like to tell you that. Also, last year, just to fill you in a little bit, last year we built 6 schools. And we're continually trying to build schools for kids. Each school, at the beginning, I think it cost £2.5 grand, and I think now maybe they're up to about £4,000 with the exchange rates. Everything's changing, we all know that. But just to explain, just to give you a little bit of an idea about when we opened a school in the Himalayas, I have lots of experience of opening schools, but just to explain one experience, we took a 4x4 from Kathmandu for 6 hours. So we were off the tarmac after an hour, and then we spent another 5 hours off-road, and we went right out into the Carberry district, which is really in the middle of nowhere. We left the 4x4, and that's where the hospital foundations are, which Gary was explaining before. We met all the kids in the little village, and it was lovely. In fact, Gary and Sharon are thinking of adopting one of those children from that little village. It's a little thing I wanted to add. So, yes, Monju, she's a lovely girl. So we were in the village, and we were just, we made a documentary about it. I was doing a piece of camera, and I looked up into the hillside, and I could see these little dots in the hillside. So the sun was in my eyes, I couldn't quite work it out. So I asked Akka, the man who looks after things very well for us all in Nepal. I said, "What's that up there?" He said, "That's the men from the village. They're at the top of the cliff, and they're knocking out the really big stones, and the stones fall down, and underneath you'll see some women, and they have baskets on their backs, and the other men are making these big stones into small stones, and then they put the small stones in the baskets, and the ladies carry the baskets all the way down to where we are now, and the guys right next to you to your left make those small stones into bricks, and those bricks become the hospital." And all of a sudden I was thinking, wow, because for me, in the Western world, we all know, someone builds a house, 4 guys turn up, 6 guys turn up, 10 guys turn up, they build a house, it's all done in 2 minutes. But in Nepal, it's like going back maybe 2,000 years, and that is how much effort is going into this one particular building, never mind the 6 schools that we built last year. So hopefully that just kind of puts it in a little bit of perspective, how much effort it takes the people in Nepal to build these things. So we stayed in a Buddhist temple that evening, and the local people said, "You must stay in the Buddhist temple." Well, I've never stayed in a Buddhist temple in my life, and we had a fab night. It was just, I can't tell you. So then the next day we had to open 3 schools. Okay, I'm thinking, let's go and open 3 schools. So it's like, no, it's not as simple as that. We had to take a walk, and we had to walk for 6 hours, and every step was uphill, and there was a 3,000 metre ascent, which took us, I think I just said 6 hours. We got to the halfway up there, and I said to Gary, I said, "What's that noise?" I could hear it. He said, "Oh, that's the people from the village. They'll be telling the people at the top of the hill that we're on our way." I said, "Get out of town." he said, well, that's the only way that they can communicate to each other around here. I was like, wow. So, cut a long story short, we get to the top, we're up to the top of the hill, and obviously very sweaty, very tired, and I could see a blue, there's like a valley, and then the valley disappeared to one side from the right, and it disappeared to the other side from the left, and I could see a line of blue just going away from me into the distance, and then I was like, what is that? And this line was like, you know when you see sheep that try and traverse a valley, and you can see the line that sheep have made across the valley? Well, this was all children in little blue shirts, school shirts, and there must have been a quarter of a mile of children going away from us. And wow. I really filled up when these kids, they just had, all they had was some little flowers, and that's all they could give us, you know, they just had some little flowers, and that was it. But there was maybe, I don't know, maybe 2,000 of them or something going down a quarter of a mile. And it was lovely. And it's that makes you realise, you know, that the east and west thing is just it's too massive. And that's why we're all here this evening. You know, hopefully we can maybe give those kids a school or two, and maybe give them somewhere to go to hospital when they need to go. So that's about it, really. I just wanted to give you my angle on things. And to finish off, I'd like to thank Gary. I'd like to thank James. I'd like to thank all the other trustees for making me the patron 3 years ago.